Well, hey, everybody.
Hi, I am Miriam, and this is Chris. And we have some guests here.
And over there, we've got Joe and Rachel.
And I'm Rachel, and this is the Brady Bunch. Welcome. We're going to start populating the squares below us and to the other side of us.
I'm going to make sure this is showing up on our channel. It's supposed to be showing up on our channel.
But technology.
Did you add it to the...
I did. So you keep talking.
Oh, okay.
I got this.
Okay.
They're there.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Anyway, so we just got back from hanging out with you guys.
We missed you.
And we're like,
so
why don't we go ahead and hang out with them again? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I just mentioned that, like, we just got done seeing Chris and Miriam, and yet somehow Miriam has managed to become even more beautiful than she was just a day or two ago. I think it's probably because we've slept since then, right?
Oh, yes.
We got some extra beauty sleep.
I feel so bad that I have not even begun editing KetoCon videos. I jumped onto Nilly's live stream this morning. And she's like, yeah, you need to get them up. And I'm like, it's just, normally when we go to KetoCon, I edit them each night. And then we get something up the next morning. Mm-hmm. We were so exhausted. I mean, was it like Saturday night? Like, Rachel literally was so loopy. Or is it Sunday night? Sunday night, she was like, I go down, and I'll actually show up in the video. And she was like, she couldn't speak. She was like, no, turn off the camera. Like,
and you went to bed really early when you got home on Sunday night or Monday, right?
Yeah, we totally did.
Yeah.
Rachel was sleeping by like 5 or 6 o'clock yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Have you traversed the laundry? The laundry from the trip?
Oh, actually, done.
Yeah, we did. We got that,
we got that in the next day.
Yeah,
next morning.
I still need to fold the whites, but yeah, we're all good. It's just been kind of crazy. Well, I did also like, by the way, on Sunday when we were all done, it's like, okay, are we having anybody coming over? And we're like, no, we're not. Rachel's like, sweet, pajama pants.
Well, yeah, that was like Miriam's, like, because this is a term that we use. Miriam looks, she goes, like, everybody can put on their fat pants, meaning pajamas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that is total relaxation to me. I mean, I think a lot of people have their own view of like, what is relaxation? Like, how do you know when you are at your most relaxed? And I feel like pajama pants is a factor for me. It's also a factor for like closeness and friendship. If I feel like I can be vulnerable with you enough to be wearing my pajama pants, then like we close.
Right.
That's
close.
Yeah, it's like Miriam said, like, no, it's just family. And I'm like, yeah. Like, because you guys are like family to us. You know, that's why we love staying with you guys.
We did end up with a lot of leftover food, though.
Yeah, we had to throw stuff away.
I may or may not have stopped at Terry Black's one more time for sausage before we got on the airplane.
Did you really?
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That we're starting to judge barbecue places not by the brisket, but by the sausage. Like, how good is the sausage? Because brisket, like, especially in Texas, like, you know, we were talking to Goody Beats, and he was like, we're like, what's the best barbecue place? He's like, you're in Texas, throw a rock, whichever one the rock hits, they're all going to have good barbecue. Maybe one slightly over the other. And I asked him, like, okay, so what is the one? Franklin's. I'm like, is Franklin's worth the wait? And he's like, no. So he's like, if you look at it, Franklin is here, and then maybe Terry Black's is like right here. And he's like, but Franklin's, you're going to have to get up at 4 a.m, wait online, and you may or may not get it at 11 o'clock because by 11 o'clock it's sold out. He's like, so is that slight edge worth 7 hours of your life?
It's about diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
Can I even taste it, or am I going to fall asleep while I'm eating it?
But
even if
sausage
I get it?
and that jalapeno cheddar sausage from Terry Black's.
That was good.
It is so good. And it's nice and fatty. Like when you cut it and the cheese oozes out and then all that fat oozes out, it's so good.
It is.
So good.
Tell me what you think about jalapenos, Joe.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, on Nilly's live stream, Nilly is still in Austin.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I saw that.
And she's like, I don't know what to do before we leave. We have several hours. I'm like, one more barbecue trip to Terry Black's.
One more beef rib. I'll hold you over for a couple of days.
That's right. Now, assuming that you did want to relax after a long trip to, say, KetoCon, and you were kind of a person who liked to curl up with a nice mug of tea. What would you recommend for people to do for that?
Well, for me personally, I enjoy. There's not a lot of teas that I like. Okay, first of all, like if people met me, there's.
I always drank tea with milk and sugar, so like I guess that's the British way. So like I'm not a huge tea drinker. It's got to have flavor.
There is one, because it is completely action packed, was always on my playlist, and sometimes, believe it or not, completely replaced my coffee in a morning altogether.
Okay.
Altogether, because this was something that I leaned on all the time. I would suggest chai tea. That was what I enjoyed the most.
Rachel, like whenever we went to Starbucks, Rachel always got chai lattes. That was her deal.
That was my jam. Not even a coffee latte.
Now, chai tea latte that's saying the same thing twice, right? So
right.
Yeah, technically, but I mean, to me, chai is a combination of spices.
But it actually means tea.
Yes, it does.
So you're being like chai tea is like.
But that's what they call it. They call it like chai tea or chai tea lattes. But really, chai is a tea.
Right.
It's a combination of spices.
So what's your go-to for that?
Cardamom. I mean, to make it.
Well, so a couple of years ago, Keto bars had a vanilla flavor of their warm-ups that was basically chai, wasn't it?
That was really good.
Yeah, it had some spice in it, you know. Yeah. Not as much as I would have liked.
Me neither. Yeah, but it was what you could have, because I could no longer go to Starbucks and get it. And I would say that, Starbucks always had a real action-packed flavor because it was nice and spicy. I like it to have a lot of the spice.
The spice, okay.
But it was never able to be replicated, in my opinion, in the keto space. Like, I couldn't enjoy it as much. Huh. We just settled for what there was.
Interesting. Joe, you want to do something about that?
Yeah, sure.
I think we should.
Because I just bought a new audiobook, thanks to you guys last night, because you had Jamie Seaman on. And I read her book. I did not know she put it on Audible. And she narrates it. And I had 8 Audible credits. So I ordered it. I bought it last night. And I'm excited that we're going to be participating in the Hard to Kill Summit this year.
Oh, yeah. You guys are going to be speakers, right?
From what we understand, yeah. We were texting with Jamie and Jay the other day, and they want us to give a little talk. So I'm excited about that. I ordered that, and my plan, I just finished up work. Rachel's going shopping for a birthday present, and I'm going to curl up, listen to my new Hard to Kill book, and drink some Chai Latte Keto Chow.
I am so excited.
Wait. There's a new flavor of Keto Chow?
There is a new flavor of Keto Chow called Chai Latte.
Is it available now?
I believe it's available now.
Exactly right now.
I hope so, because we have a video dropping in 10 minutes about
it. It is available now. Let's see, did we put your guys' picture in there yet? They were still editing it. We actually have a picture of you guys with the stuff. And part of that, okay, let's mea culpa right here. Joe and Rachel created this flavor.
It was a lot of work.
And if Joe holds up the package, there is not a 2KrazyKetos logo in the corner. And guess whose fault that is? That's my fault. Ooh, there we go. There we go.
Just take a visual right now. This is us with it. Pretend this is on every single one of your pages.
We don't need our logo on it because, hey, we got the flavor that we really wanted.
Yeah, that is ultimately.
Did I put it on the back at least?
No.
It's not what is on the package. It's what's in the package, right? Because for Joe, if this was swordfish on the inside of this, he would be like, I don't care how pretty it is on the outside. Like, the inside is nothing that I want. But this one
Here's a flavor keto. How about beef liver keto chow?
That sounds like an April
That should be next year's April Fool's
flavor release. But
you think it'd be better than Keto Chum?
I am Keto Chum. But this really is delicious. And I got to tell you, this is a coffee house flavor for me, even though there's no coffee in it, because I was always in a coffee house when I ordered it ever before.
It was one of the first ones when you guys came to us a couple years ago and said, hey, would you be interested in helping us create some coffee flavors because we love coffee? It was one of the first
because
ones.
You love coffee. I don't love coffee.
Yeah, no, we don't. It was one of the first ones that Rachel wanted to do because that's what she went with, and I'm like, but it's not coffee, it's tea. So that's where we went with Irish cream and caramel macchiato first. But it was one that we really wanted to do. But this one took a lot of work. I mean, people ask about making a flavor. It took a year.
Well, because you have to get the spices.
And it was a year in the formulation because we kind of had it, and then you had to change the magnesium.
Yeah.
Which affected the flavor. So then we had to redo it. Then you got the other magnesium back. So then we had to redo it again. Then you had the acacia shortage. So you changed the acacia. So we had to redo it again.
Oh, so you're saying it's our fault?
No,
so long.
It's just in general. And then we were trying to nail the spice.
Yeah. That's the challenge.
Well, and one other thing I want to make sure that we point out, we also at that same time discovered that the caramel macchiato had a little bit of coffee in it.
Yes.
And
in
so,
the natural flavors.
And so we were in the middle of doing this whole chai latte, and I went back to them. I'm like, hey, I need this. It's really hard for them to understand. I don't want coffee and I don't want tea in it. Yeah. But I could say I want it no caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They could understand that, and they could test it and verify it does not have caffeine.
Not us. We're talking about the flavoring company. Yeah, because that was I forgot about that. We also kept changing the flavoring because you were like, you wanted them to get the canola oil or the sunflower oil out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was a long process, but I think we nailed it.
Well, and I think that it's worth it to have that whole process. If you look at the total carb count on this, it's like, I'm really glad that we landed in this, version of it. Because you're talking about 2 total carbs per serving.
Yeah, and we've got, it's technically 1.93 total carbs, because this is version 2.8. There's 1.13 grams of total fiber. So it's 0.08, but
that's crazy.
Tustin wants to know, how did we keep this a secret? It was not easy. I mean, especially, we said it on the video that's coming out in a little while, but every once in a while you see something maybe pop up in one of the live streams or on the Keto Chow Facebook support group. Like, I really wish they would be a chai tea flavor.
Like, oh my gosh,
I'm like, I really want to say something.
For over a year.
It is difficult, to keep the secret.
But it's important because we have moments like this, that is just so exciting. And I think that we get to share this with the whole community. And you don't get to have this feeling of anticipation and something really fun dropping if you're not willing, to keep a secret. So this is a good thing. This is a good secret. We're not keeping a secret like, hey, don't tell anybody, but there's a lion in your closet, right? Like, this isn't a dangerous secret. This is a fun secret so that, we can just kind of have the balloons everywhere when it goes off. I
see Synergy is asking, she doesn't know what chai latte is.
Yeah.
So it is a combination of spices that I will be honest, if you don't like things like spiced eggnog or pumpkin pie spice, you probably wouldn't like this.
Yeah,
because it's got cardamom. Oh, Chris is putting up the thing there, but it's got cardamom, nutmeg, allspice, plus the natural flavors. So we're adding extra spice to really get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were going to earlier describe kind of, it sounded like you were going to talk about the spiciness, but I guess you just kind of did. So
yeah, and the thing is it was infinitesimal amounts of spice. Like, I mean, I think it was like 0.1 grams of one. I mean, it was so tiny, and if you went over by just a little bit,
you couldn't drink it.
It was.
And if you went under by a nanosecond, you couldn't taste it. So it was just getting it, that blend just right. And again, totally understanding that this is really like, you have to like the spices. That'd be something that I would say if you're thinking about purchasing this, you really have to like these spices. And I totally understand that this is not going to be a flavor for everybody, but it is all a flavor for Rachel.
Oh, by the way, it makes really good ice cream.
Carrie Brown just said, oh, no, there it is. In Seattle, we had a shot of espresso and called it a dirty hippie.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and that's another thing. So a lot of times, a lot of the keto flavors we love to add as a creamer to our coffee. Like we will use raspberry cheesecake. That was probably one of the ones that surprised us the most as being just an absolute perfect creamer for coffee. But this is one that I wouldn't necessarily use as a creamer for my coffee.
You can,
but I enjoy it alone as its own beverage. So this is one in hot. I really enjoy it hot. Although it makes what we call a breakfast ice cream. It's a perfect breakfast ice cream. Like it's just really, really nice and delightful in the morning.
Let's see. Bonnie says I've been using the pumpkin spice to add to my tea, but this would be the best. Oh, and Laura wanted to know, is it going to be seasonal? Can I get it in my subscription box?
So
I don't know.
Like with any flavor, we're gonna wait and see.
So for right now, it's a limited edition.
Yep.
I'm guessing it probably would go seasonal,
someday.
And depending on how the sales go, it would go permanent. In order for it to be in the subscription. Now, it more than likely will be in the surprise subscription
at some point.
Yeah. But we don't announce those ahead of time, so surprise.
I was going to say, because it wouldn't be a surprise if you're like, hey,
Go get our surprise box.
Yeah, but as far as being able to order it on the pick your own, in order for that to happen, it has to be a permanent flavor that we can commit to. It's always going to be in stock, so you won't get disappointed when we don't have it. So, yeah, there you go. And now, Cynthia had a question. Maybe you can answer this. It says, I'm not a fan of tea. Would I like it if I like the pumpkin spice coffee?
Yes.
Because probably. Again, there's no tea in it.
Right.
I mean, it's spices, but there's no tea. Like, I'm not a tea. This is like, it's like a spiced milk.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good
analogy. I should have called it chai spice latte.
That's fine.
But it's
many words.
I can't drink a lot of like things like black teas. Black teas really upset my stomach. I know some people just absolutely love them, but it's just not something that I can drink, and that's more of like a real pronounced tea flavor. And so that's why the chai lattes have always been, I've enjoyed them a lot more because you didn't have that kind of real strong tea flavor.
Yeah, I would say if you like eggnog, and not just eggnog keto chow, but I mean just eggnog. If you like eggnog where it's traditionally made by adding nutmeg and different spices, if you like pumpkin spice, if you like gingerbread, you're going to like this.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and see, I don't really like tea, but I like the gingerbread. I like eggnog, and I really like the chai latte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And it doesn't taste like those other ones. Like it's got its own. That was something that was very important to us, is that we didn't want it to be similar to another flavor. And like we talk about it on the video that's releasing, but when we created the flavor, part of it for us was, even before we presented you with the recipe, it had to be really good with butter. It had to be really good with heavy cream. It had to make a good ice cream.
Will it ice cream?
And also, was it good warm? And if one of those failed, it was like back to the drawing board.
And I'll tell you that it makes the most delicious pancakes.
Oh.
That I enjoy and don't even really have to add syrup to, because there's so much flavor like in the spice.
I'm actually excited to see the recipes that Carrie Brown and Chef Taffany come up with.
Oh yeah, because I think there's a lot of possibilities because of that flavor profile, and I'm looking forward to that for this is something that I always ordered in the summer. Now we're in Florida. We're in South Florida, and
it's always summer.
It is always summer, but even on the hottest days, I wanted to drink this hot beverage. So I don't know if it, sometimes people will say that with other spicy food that they're like, it's so hot. Why are you trying to add spice on a hot day?
Drink it cold and slap some whipped cream on top.
But I really enjoyed it, year round.
So Jen says, just my computer is the Keto Chow website having an issue. It keeps loading and it comes up with a 404 not found. Brian Lenskis was actually having this exact problem, and it turns out he had a Chrome browser extension called Text Expander that was changing the address and messing up the website. So
technology.
Anyway. Jennifer wants to know what's the natural flavor in there. For the most part, it's spices. But it's this big laundry list of stuff. And the flavoring manufacturer that manufactures the stuff for us keeps that proprietary, which is kind of weird, but they do. We can usually ask them, does it have X?
Yes.
And they can say yes or no.
Yes.
But they...
So we always say, does it have maltodextrin? And in this case, we didn't want to have actual tea in there. So we asked, does it have tea? Does it have caffeine? But we have to be very specific to find out what.
So the natural flavors does not contain tea, does not contain maltodextrin, does not contain sugar. There's a lot of misinformation going around the internet that anytime you see natural flavors, that's code word for sugar.
Yeah, it's not necessarily true.
That's not necessarily true.
But a lot of times they do put maltodextrin in it, so we're really careful.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Rachel.
About that.
Well, I was just going to say that's one of the things that we have really learned to depend on Keto Chow, because you guys are willing to ask those questions, the questions that we would have as a consumer, because you are also a consumer and you're giving it to your family as well. You're there on the front lines, being able to ask the manufacturer all of the questions that we would be asking. Those things like, is there any sugar hidden? Is there any maltodextrin hidden? Is there some caffeine hidden? Because we know whenever you go before a manufacturer, we know that you have all of us in mind in the family. You know that like my mom is going to be wanting to drink this at like after 5 p.m. And so you need to know, is there going to be caffeine in here, or are some of the people who like to cut off their caffeine consumption at a certain time of the day going to be able to enjoy this even in the evening?
Yeah, because technically you don't have to disclose that. Right?
True.
I mean, and that's one of the things we've always loved about you is the fact that some of them were dried where they were lubricating the machines with sunflower oil, so there was a possibility a drop of that ended in. So you're putting sunflower oil on your ingredient list to your detriment.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even in there. It was just there was a possibility that a drop ended up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just kind of how manufacturing goes. It is funny, though, when we go to shows like KetoCon, number one, we get asked those questions right in our face, people asking, hey, why does it have this? Why does it have that? But then on the other side, we go around to the other booths and we ask those same questions. And I ate, when I was at KetoCon, I had some carnivore bar because he has some stuff with spices in it now, which is funny because that's not carnivore, but whatever.
They were really good, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, were they?
I had some keto brick because I know that's okay, because Robert is as... Meticulous. Yes, that's a nicer word than the one I was coming up with.
I was going to say fanatical, but I like meticulous better.
Chris was going to say Nazi.
I was actually going to say anal retentive, but I didn't. So
he won't put anything in his body that isn't healthy for him, because I mean he's a natural competitive bodybuilder who is on a mission for his contest this year to be the leanest man alive at 4% body fat.
Right.
So he is not going to eat something that's going to hurt him getting to 4% body fat.
Defensive says judicious. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that word.
I had some keto brick, and I had some of the Peterson's Farms. I had a piece of bacon and a little bit of sausage. That's literally all that I ate from the different vendors that were there at KetoCon. Mm-hmm. And granted, there aren't a lot of different vendors that were selling food stuff there, because they've actually kind of shifted away from that. But when I go to the shows, I'm always really leery of
because sometimes they'll make your tummy
the
hurt.
gummy bears that they might have, or apparently I missed out on the real good jalapeno poppers. But
they were okay. We're gonna actually
really?
get some and do them a review. So I mean, they weren't your jalapeno poppers.
Ain't nothing like a Keto Chow family.
No kidding. I ate about 25 jalapeno poppers over 4 days, but they were okay. The cream cheese kind of like I guess because of the way they must cook it and then freeze it
and then freeze it.
And then when you reheat it, it kind of gets almost grainy a little bit. But they weren't. They weren't.
It probably
horrible.
ruptures the plant cells or something like that. But anyway, judicious. I'm very judicious about the ingredients because I'm going to be eating it. So
yeah.
And that's one of the things that's nice about what I have found is the better products on the market for people in keto, the best things were created for the person who made it, and then they're like, oh, maybe somebody else wants it. Keto Chow, Keto Brick, Carnivore Bar. I mean, when we were talking to him, he's like, I'm creating this because I'm coming from the military, and what they have in MREs is horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and talk about a true meal replacement bar, it's beef and fat.
Yeah. Pemmican is what it is.
Yeah.
And that is something that we've always appreciated about Chris and Miriam. I mean, I wish you guys could have seen how diligent Miriam was. Every single morning, she had to be bone freaking tired. You had an entire day ahead of you to do with no known, like, when is the end of the day? Because at the end of every single day, the Keto Chow crowd has to mix all of the drinks for the next day. Like, you have to, in order for everybody to get samples, you have to have that pudding made, you have to have the drinks made. So it was just like such a long day, but Miriam had this commitment to, I'm going to get my workout in.
Oh, yes.
And so she did. So here's the thing. Miriam is not going to work as hard as she is into, like, getting fit and like all of this hard work she's done for her own health, and then be like, and then I'm going to drink this and undermine my goals, right? Like,
if there was bad stuff in there,
right. So that's why they're putting out a product that they also depend on, and it's, working together in conjunction with all of the other hard work that they're doing in their lives, to maintain their own personal health, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, and here you have Eclectic Cabin wants to know from you guys, should I try Keto Chow?
Only if you like good things. If you're like, I like crappy things, then Keto Chow is not for you.
So here's what I'm going to say. Did you say that came from our channel?
Yeah.
Okay, so we love Keto Chow. It is not needed on a keto lifestyle. If you are super busy, like we can get, like Chris and Miriam. I mean, again, we talk about going to like KetoCon. The conference started at 8:30 in the morning, went till 6 o'clock. These guys are showing up at the conference center at 7:30 to set up. They're preparing beforehand. Steve is cooking eggs. Their day is starting at 5 in the morning, and then come home 2 hours, and then sometimes hanging out with other people. We're going from 5 in the morning to 10, 11 o'clock at night. You're super busy. You don't have time to cook a great steak. I'm a high school football and lacrosse official. I'm headed out the door. I'm working a job. We're editing videos, and then I gotta go do a game. That's where I can have a Keto Chow made, and I grab that, and instead of stopping at Wendy's and buying a burger, and it's going to cost me $10 and not give me nearly the nutrition that I need, I can have this where it's going to give me 1/3 of all my vitamins, my electrolytes, my nutrition. It's a great thing on the go. It's a great thing to have in your refrigerator. I really want to eat, but nothing's prepared. Oh, wait, the kids have macaroni and cheese. Let me eat that. No, you have a Keto Chow.
Yeah.
And that's where it really comes into place. You don't need it, but if you have that busy lifestyle, or if you want to eat ice cream for breakfast, that's where Keto Chow can come in. We personally do not believe in doing it or using it for your only source of nutrition. I know, Chris, you've said the same thing, but you can if you need to. For example, last year when I had over 30 days of having dental work and could not eat hard food.
It just was not possible to
No, Joe, you should have just You should have made better choices and just starved
and just
for
put
30
your
days.
steak in the blender.
Because why are you so weak?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, sometimes you have a hard time with it. This was something that even Michelle utilized in those first, stages of pregnancy. If you're like, hey, I really want to get nutrition in, but even just like handling food was not fun.
Yeah, John Paul and Michelle come over here and raid our Keto Chow supply all the time.
Obviously, because it's just delicious. But, and then also, you talk about like sneak attacking on your children. How about like we're having ice cream for dinner, kids, and you have made it
done that.
So that your little kids, if you're giving your kids ice cream, then switch it out for Keto Chow, because they don't even realize that they're getting a meal. And now, Keto Chow is not going to say, hey, give this to children, but we're gonna, because I don't work for Keto Chow. I'm going to say we have given it to children.
And now the other
thing,
thing,
great.
Sorry.
It's a good replacement for something if you've ever used Boost, Pediasure, Ensure. This is a fantastic thing. I have a great aunt.
My mother is using it because the doctor wanted her to have like Boost.
Right.
They're like, oh, well, you need to get some more protein in. I'm like, no, like take this, and you're getting the vitamins and the electrolytes.
And if you're caring for somebody who is not able to get all of their nutrition in, we highly recommend this. I wish we could put this in the hands of every single assisted living community here in South Florida.
Well, yeah, Nurse Cindy's sister was using it in her last days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, it's very, very beneficial.
And I would say this, I don't want to like scare people, but you hear a lot of people talking about like, hey, prices of things going up. You need to be prepared. Like our chickens are producing so many eggs. I'm actually going to go throw probably like 4 dozen eggs into the freeze dryer just to have some extra eggs.
Wow.
But for us, like we live in South Florida, it's coming. Hurricane season starts in another month and a half. We have gone a month without electricity. So we always like to be prepared. And this has got what's the shelf life now?
5 years.
5 years shelf life.
Look on the
this
back
actually
of that.
says 2027.
Yeah.
So they've got it
should say
at
2028.
They've got it at 4 years, but I know you said it's 5 years. But
yeah, we originally had it recertified for 4, and then we found another packet that was 5 years old. Tested it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, not 4, 5.
Still
You've got a
good.
5 year." So
you could literally take this, and even if you'd had no access to a fat. Now, we'll keep butter powder or something like that for an emergency, but let's say you have no access to fat, you could mix it with water and still be getting your vitamins, your electrolytes, and at least some protein. So for us, we want to make sure we have enough that if we have a storm or something, that would give us no electricity, do we have food to survive on?
We've even mixed
and
it.
This is one of the things we like to make sure we have a lot of.
With an egg before as like the fat, fat source as well. And we just drink that immediately.
And not a cooked egg. We'll take a raw egg, put it,
Carrie Brown's done that too. Yeah.
Well, no, let's talk about, you guys have a great video that I keep on sending people over to about making coffee with Keto Chow. You've got it going in your blender, and can you guys talk about, and I mean, have you tried the Chai Latte with that same method yet?
We did it with we have not done it with these.
Okay.
We did it with
when we were creating
the prototype?
it, and it was good. Yeah, the prototype. And I might or might not have been creating the prototype for the last 6 months while we were It's like Rachel would be like, I want Chai Latte. You'd be like, do you know how much work that is to pull out like all of these spices?
Measure the little things.
I know, it's so tedious.
But it's like when you want it, like, okay.
You're willing to do it.
So yeah, it does. So the way we do, when we use Keto Chow for coffee, we do it 2 ways. We will take a blender and just do like a nice heaping tablespoon of the powder and mix it in. And then sometimes we'll just have like a ready-made Keto Chow with at least 4 tablespoons of melted butter or heavy cream in it, where it's made up and now it's like a liquid coffee creamer. We'll do that if we're having like a get-together at the house. Like people, like nobody wants to put powdered creamer in their coffee. You're having a coffee thing out. So we can have like, here's an Irish cream, here's a chocolate, and hey, here's some creamer.
And then you just pour it in.
You can pour in a couple tablespoons of it.
Well, and
it's better than buying like that Nestle, stuff that's got maltodextrin and canola oil and all of that stuff.
Yeah, if you're somebody who likes those like international delights and maybe you were just drinking it as like you were getting the light version or something that's like a sugar-free version, I found that the ingredients were still terrible, and I found the taste in those to be very muted. Yeah, very chemically, but then also very like it wasn't getting that flavor burst that I wanted. So, and I've used things like nut pods to try to add a bunch, and it's like I have to like the whole thing in
mostly
order
creamer, a little bit of coffee.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
My suggestion when if you're going to make a liquid one to have as a coffee creamer or even a tea creamer, because I know like I said, I always used to put milk into into my tea rather. My suggestion is increase the fat. Like if you normally do like 4 tablespoons of butter, put like 6 or 7 in, because you're only going to have a tablespoon of it or whatever in your coffee. The more fat or cream you put into and label it, like this is my coffee creamer, the less you're going to need to add actually into it, and you're going to get more of that flavor profile. So we'll increase the fat for that as opposed to drinking it as a meal replacement.
And we will have a Keto Chow last for 9 days. So it's like you're making it. Yeah. And it will, in the fridge, it will absolutely last for that long. So,
Not with the amount of coffee we drink.
I know, but for a normal human person, it would be good.
Carrie Brown says she just had to take off to go make pretty pictures. That's her picture right there, by the way.
Absolutely.
Carrie Brown takes the best pictures.
Amazing. That woman is so gifted. I want to say guilted. I don't know why that came up.
So I was thinking while you guys were talking about, how to incorporate Keto Chow, it was really nice for me to hear a lot of people that came to the booth at KetoCon would come up to me and say, you know what, I'm carnivore, but I also have Keto Chow. So even though we do have acacia gum and a couple of other things in Keto Chow, it's really quite carnivore, right? It's not completely
carnivore adjacent.
But one thing that I noticed in my own journey is if I eliminate a whole bunch of other treats, I can use Keto Chow as like a treat and not feel guilty. So, and I think because it has so much salt in it, it doesn't like overwhelm me and make me feel like I have to have all of this Keto Chow like I would have to abuse like the old candy bars and stuff. So I feel like that's a better relationship for me if I wanted to have a treat.
And if you have it as an ice cream, like it's difficult to get that whole pint of ice cream down.
Yeah.
It is difficult.
It's
if you're making
rich.
it in the creamy, it is difficult. I mean, Rachel did do OMAD with Keto Chow a couple years ago, and she resorted to having to get into the bathtub
to eat 3 of them.
Oh, because she was so cold.
It's challenging, but yeah.
And that was before the creamy, where it was like more like a frosty over that thick, scoopable ice cream.
I will say it is Keto Chow in various forms really is our one-stop shop for treats because of the fact that I don't need to buy Rebel ice cream anymore. We used to buy Rebel ice cream all the time, but I really enjoy.
Since the invention of creamy, we have not bought any of that.
Since we got the creamy, it's really exclusively Keto Chow is what we use for ice cream. When it comes to like desserts that we will bring to a potluck, that pudding, that fluff, it could not be easier to make, and it could not be more like enjoyed. Anytime we bring that any place.
We did it at the baby shower. We literally made Keto Chow desserts at the baby shower in church, and we didn't label it, this is keto, because there was nothing in there. Like we said, there's cream in here or there's milk in here, but we didn't say this is keto, it's sugar-free. And people devoured the fluff. Devoured it.
I really used to always be known as someone who's like, nobody can stretch $1 like Rachel can stretch $1. Nobody can stretch an infinitesimal amount of sweetener like Keto Chow can stretch a sweetener, because it's like the flavor is so bold, but the amount of actual sweetener is just so tiny compared to the flavor.
A little tiny.
Well, even that when you were talking about the people coming up to the booth, I mean, there is somebody in the keto space who is a coach, and he has said, I do not like anything with sucralose. The only exception is Keto Chow. Like I will have Keto Chow because number one, I know Chris and Miriam and Dr. Barry has talked about Keto Chow and recommended it for people in circumstances. They're not going to put that in their body. I mean, I know Nisha used it during her pregnancy with Becca. They're not going to put it in their body if it was bad. And he was like, it's such a tiny amount, not like what they were feeding the rats in the study.
Right.
Yeah. We had Jeanette asked a question, do you ship to Canada? We do ship to Canada. We also have a distributor, Switch Grocery. I don't know if they are launching the Chai Latte today. I know we shipped it to them. I think they just haven't updated their website because I did check out their website and I don't see it posted yet.
But we can find out.
But I'm excited that it's going to be available there.
Yeah, and somebody wanted to know, for you guys, what fat are you using in Keto Chow that it lasts more than 5 days in the fridge?
Butter.
Yeah.
And we have used heavy cream, and it's gone more than 7 days. I know you guys say 7 days, but we don't work for you, so we can say we've had it longer than 7 days. It goes completely by what the date on your heavy cream is. So generally, if we were gonna, and we don't use heavy cream a lot because I like butter. I think butter tastes better. But yeah, butter will last a long time. Now, you do have milk protein in here. I don't think I would go much longer than 8 or 9 days, but we have and did not get sick.
Right.
Now, I would say this. Do not leave that empty cup in your truck in South Florida heat under the chair.
We have all made that mistake.
Ask me how I know.
Right.
So...
you know what we haven't done yet that we need to since we got home is make the chocolate core pudding with the beef tallow. I have never seen such a beautiful response like there was. Everybody really, really enjoyed that at KetoCon. So if you've never tried that before, like definitely want to give that a try because it is tasty and we need to start making that at home that way.
Well, so Nancy had a question, said, I'm leaving for a 12-day trip to Israel on Monday. What fat could I mix with Keto Chow while traveling? I cannot rely on refrigeration.
I like
that's where I would use butter powder
because then you know like it's ready to go.
Now, since we're bringing it up, Chris, you want to tell people about butter powder? And why you should not use that unless you're maybe traveling?
Just a second. So I'm going to give my answer to Nancy, and then we'll talk about butter powder. So what I would personally do, and I've done this, and I'm going to have to do it again this summer. Miriam and I are going to be going on a 30-mile hike with some of the youth in our neighborhood and our children. And when I was doing that last time, or when I'm camping, what I will do is I will have a blender bottle. I will have a bottle of avocado oil.
There you go.
Because olive oil tends to be a little bit stronger. And I don't like to use butter powder, and we'll get into that in just a second. But what I would do is I would mix up the Keto Chow with the avocado oil and just shake it really good.
Drink it right then.
Well, I'd let it sit for like 5 minutes.
If you can.
Yeah.
Because we're in a tent, right?
Yeah.
We're tenting it. There's no refrigeration whatsoever. We're lucky we got water.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm letting it sit there for a little bit is if you drink it right away, it doesn't taste as good. You have crystals of the electrolytes in there, and
blends a little bit better.
It just doesn't taste as good, and it's a little bit gritty. But I let it sit for like 5 minutes, and then drink it, and then immediately wash the blender bottle with soap and water, set it out to let it dry.
Open.
Yes. Pack it up, and then it's ready for the next meal.
Yeah. So we have soap, dish soap, a bottle brush, a blender bottle, and avocado oil, and then the packets of Keto Chow. So that's what we pack.
And when we did that last time, I only had to resort to that, I think, 3 or 4 meals. And that was just because the food that they had, some of the times it was keto appropriate. And some of the times it wasn't. Like some of the times they were making hamburgers, and I'm like, can I have 4 of those burger patties, please? And they're like, yeah.
They did pretty good though by the end, because some of the people like that were on our team, they would be like, hey, I got you 2 extra pieces of bacon.
Yeah, or I got you 4 eggs.
Those are your real friends.
Right?
Yeah.
So now butter powder. The issue with butter powder is that, okay, Joe, does all heavy cream have carbs?
Absolutely. 4.13 carbs per serving. And butter powder has more per calorie.
Yes, it does. But here's the thing. Because of rounding on nutrition labels, they are actually legally required to put under 1 gram or 0 grams if it's less than 0.49. And if it's 0.5 or greater, they can put 1. So if you have heavy cream,
but they don't.
I know. If you have heavy cream and it says 0 grams,
it really means 0.4.
It means 0.43 or something like that.
0.413.
But since it's under 0.5, it has to be 0.
And if you have butter powder, the serving size on that is so small that they will almost always round that down to 1 or 0 as well. But butter powder has, I think it's like 8 or 9 times the amount of carbs as butter. And powdered sweet cream, there's no such thing as powdered heavy cream, by the way. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, they label it that, but it's not.
Yeah. Powdered sweet cream has 6 times the amount of carbohydrates compared to regular just heavy cream. And if you're looking at per calorie. So if you're hiking a lot, your tolerance for carbohydrates is probably going to be higher.
So if you're wandering around Israel all day long.
So powdered cream might not actually be the end of the world. You might actually be able to easily maintain ketosis. You'd probably be fine. But it's going to take up more space in your luggage than the same amount of a liquid. And it's going to weigh more than the same number of calories as the liquid form. And it's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 to 3 times as much. So if the powdered fats fit what you're doing, hey, that is fantastic. But I want you to be operating from a position of knowledge and intelligence, or information. That's what I want. Rather than just assuming that because it says 0 carbs, it has no carbs whatsoever.
Right.
And I would add to that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you get to go. That'll be so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that will be fun.
I would add to that when you do, I see people make this mistake a lot. They look at butter powder and they see the serving size. If you really want to know the truth about it, you have to look at like calorie for calorie, like how much fat are you getting? Because I think they make the serving size like a teaspoon or something like that. And it's not nearly the same amount of fat or calories as in if you're having a tablespoon of butter. So when you start multiplying it up, it gets out of control. The other thing that we do, if we're staying in hotels, sometimes they don't have a refrigerator, but they'll have a microwave. We have been known to go to 7-Eleven. We did this in Vegas, if you remember. Yeah. We were going up to like the 7-Eleven and grabbing a couple of sticks of butter.
A single stick.
And then because butter does not have to be refrigerated if you buy salted butter. And we would sit it on the counter and then take 3 or 4 tablespoons of it, melt it in the microwave, and then we'll just give it a good shake and drink it right away.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Something else to think about with the butter powder is when you're mixing it just with the blender bottle, you may get some clumps. But with the avocado oil, you won't get clumps.
Now,
but then you'll have the oil slick too. So
there's a company, because I know you bought it for Shauna last year going to the cruise, and it was available at Trader Joe's. There is a company that makes a shelf-stable heavy whipping cream in those little tiny, and they're small.
Yes.
Trader Joe sells them.
Yeah.
And it is
Whole
just
Foods does too.
Whipping cream. So it is a higher amount of fat carbs per calorie.
Yeah, it's just a little different
but
than normal heavy cream.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But if you are not traveling and you are home, butter is our recommendation.
Yeah. Well, and Marie wants to know, what about ghee?
Yeah,
sure.
Ghee is just butter that doesn't have water in it.
Yeah.
It's almost essentially the same thing. And metabolically, same thing. If you like ghee, and actually, this is an important thing. 2KrazyKetos a couple of years ago did a video about different butters, grass-fed versus conventional. And my recollection is when it came down to it, it was just a matter of taste.
Yes.
Yep. Do you like the flavor of this particular butter better? Mm-hmm. Great, buy it. But don't feel like you have to use ghee or grass-fed, grass-finished butter, which I don't know how you feed grass to butter, but you don't feel like you have to use those, because butter is amazing, and so is beef. Mm-hmm. Beef is amazing all by itself.
I want some beef right now.
Even the cheapest stuff is amazing. So
yeah, anyway. I mean, when you look at the butter, like if we're doing something where butter is like highlighted, like maybe, we're having a piece of butter on a steak, that's where we may go with one that tastes like maybe a little bit better, maybe the salt, like we've had like the goat butter or something like that. But in Keto Chow, we're using the Costco butter. And I use salted butter because I actually add salt to my Keto Chow.
Yeah, me too.
But, and ghee, ghee can be shelf stable because it does have the milk proteins removed as well.
Yeah.
But you have to be super careful. If you get a drop of water in that ghee, it's no longer shelf stable because it can go rancid now, because that's what makes ghee shelf stable is the fact that you've removed all the water. So now it won't go rancid as fast. But if you put a spoon in there and then drop it in and then maybe stir your coffee and put that spoon back in the ghee, you're adding water. Even a couple of drops could make it go rancid.
So Nancy says, thanks about the information. Do you like the taste of the avocado oil? I think it's fine. It's not as
neutral.
Good as...
It's not like olive oil. Olive oil has like a very distinctive taste.
Yeah. It says I can probably get some heavy whipping cream at the hotel. Also maybe butter. I have a frother for my coffee. That would work really well, because butter in hot water and a frother.
Yeah, it would work good.
Yeah, you don't even need a microwave. If you can get butter, if you're in a hotel, you don't even need a microwave. You can go downstairs, get some hot water from whatever their coffee bar is, like whatever they would use to make tea, and then just put the butter in there and you mix it with your little frother and it melts the butter, and then add your Keto Chow.
Yeah, they might even have cream. Maybe not heavy cream, but yeah. Well, cool. Miriam, what else did you want to talk about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'm good.
Yeah, we're going to see you guys in less than 40 days on the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got the cruise coming up. We got the Hard to Kill Summit. Lots of fun stuff.
Orlando.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
And we're also going to the Antithetic Conference.
In Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yeah, we won't be going to that. We've got too much stuff going on, but...
Keep watching. Thank you so much, Chris, for always providing like all the updated information.
Lowcarbevents.com.
Lowcarbevents.com. I know that is that's a tireless effort, because it feels like, thankfully, more things
he didn't have enough to do.
Being added all of the time, right? There's all kinds of things, being added to that. So, check out lowcarbevents.com to see what's in your area. If you're thinking,
what's in your wallet?
What's in your wallet? Because maybe maybe you saw some photos from everybody having a great time at KetoCon, and you're like, well, what's around me? There may be a meetup or a conference, later this year that you could attend, and we'd love to see ya.
Yeah. Well, my chat just crashed, so I have no idea what people are saying. So
they're probably saying
it says I need to reload the page, which means that
mine is way behind. It's
they're probably
it's
saying,
still at 11:30.
They're probably saying, have a great rest of your day, guys.
Right.
That's
all right.
Probably it.
Well, you guys, have a great rest of your day. People, check out the Chai Latte. It's available now. There is a limit. You can only buy 21 at a time, though.
Sorry.
Because we want to make it last. And a lot of people were asking if it is going to last through the week. We bought quite a lot of it, but it's only in the little packets. So
thanks so much for letting us do this, because it really
welcome.
Is such a blessing, and we have so much fun with it.
Yeah. And thanks for being cagey with us so we could make it a surprise. All right. Bye, guys. Bye.